You're listening to the Common Fan Podcast, a Husker football podcast for the common fan, by the common fan.
Welcome back to the Common Fan Podcast. We're the Common Fans. TJ Burkle, Matty Owens Sr., Geoff in Lincoln. Check us out on YouTube, like those videos, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the fun, frivolity, and big red obsessing of the Common Fans. We are, of course, also available on all the major podcast streaming platforms. You know what goes well with your favorite Husker football podcast, gentlemen? Nebraska's own certified Piedmontese beef. This premium Nebraska product is raised and grazed in the great state of Nebraska. They've truly got the best steaks, burgers, and more, which you can see for yourself at your local Mercado Butcher Shop, 30th and Yankee Hill, or 84th and Havelock in Lincoln, and also at 162nd and Maple in Omaha, You can also go to cpbeef.com to get certified Piedmontese products shipped right to your front door, regardless of where you live. That's right, they ship to all 50 states. Guys, I made a 3-pound chuck roast for the family recently, and it was absolutely falling apart, juicy, tender, delicious. You can't beat it. So what are you waiting for, Common Fans? Get to your local Mercado Butcher Shop or visit cpbeef.com. Certified Piedmontese beef, powering the Husker football team and powering the Common Fan Podcast. Friend of the program, Zack Carpenter, is back with us. Zack is, of course, the publisher of Inside Nebraska, your source for Husker news and analysis within the National Rivals Network. Zack, it's great to have you back with the Common Fans today, my friend.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Feels good to be back in the swing of things. Like I was telling you guys, haven't fired up the webcam and the microphone in a few weeks. It's good to knock the rust off a little bit right before spring ball, because we're sort of in that downtime. That February and July are my two slowest months, and slowest months for the program too, in that order. Yeah. So
I was going to ask, do you get a little break? Signing day was February 7th. You get a little break now, and it's not all go all the time?
Not all go all the time. Definitely like more laid back, where we're not hyper like stressed or anything about whether it's there could be some breaking news around the corner at any moment. Obviously, I mean, it's Nebraska. It's the Nebraska beat, so there's always something happening. But it feels a little more, I guess, casual, while still grinding content out and going away at it. But yeah, I'm about to take vacation to San Diego next weekend. I've never been to San Diego. I've taken one actual vacation in my life since starting at after graduating college. One time for a week. So this is my first legit vacation coming up. It's all right. Nice. I've gone on trips. I've gone down for a week, a few days to Nashville, for instance, but there's always something work related involved, some sort of twist on it. This is the first time I'm going to get away for a little bit with, I'll still be working, but it's not a work related trip. So if you guys have been to San Diego and got any recommendations for me, I'm happy to hear them, because we're all comers. We're taking all comers as far as suggestions go.
Well, that's great to hear. And taking a little break, that'll give you a chance to catch up on all your Common Fan podcast episodes.
Well, yeah, I got them all downloaded actually right here in the queue for the plane flight out. So I actually do have several of you guys' episodes. I'm not kidding about that. I got the one you guys just did with silly season. You can call it silly season.
I think we did call it silly season. Yeah,
we did.
Tampering. You did, yeah. Silly season starts early.
Yeah, sweet, man. Thanks for checking it out.
Street corn, just all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff's street corn hot takes. Yeah.
Zach, I guess I'll just jump in, be respectful of your time, but we had noted beforehand that the Huskers have the number 16 class in Rivals. So we had a few questions we going to pick your brain about for that. I guess the most obvious question that everybody wants to know is how many national titles can we expect from this group, and when is that going to start kicking in?
Well, you figure they go 3 to 5 years on average. So you're thinking between the 3 and 5 range. I mean, if the over-under is 3.5, you obviously have to go over, be optimistic.
Right. Yep.
At least
Love
Big
it.
Ten championships and college football playoff appearances. That's the low bar, obviously.
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
take those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is interesting, though, that
100%.
you bring that up, and they are like, I don't know if this, maybe it's not different, but it feels different. Just from a bit of an outside perspective and an inside perspective. It's been on the beat now for 2 years. So this class is talking like an elite class group of recruits where we want to win multiple championships. Like at Nebraska, you get laughed out the room in previous years if you do that. But now that they have the potential superstar quarterback involved, and they filled like every piece. Like they got the offensive line class that has high upside at the interior and at tackle. They got receivers. They got everything but a running back in this recruiting class, and you can address that out of the portal. So now I feel like expectations,
Which they did, yeah,
exactly, and expectations feel like they've been raised, and that's a product of the culture and what's happening in that building, the belief and buy-in that's happening, which people roll their eyes at and I do too sometimes, the phrase buy-in, but that doesn't make it any less important if you're in that room, if you're in that culture and in that building. So I think it's exciting times around here. I really do.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're going to go and win a Big Ten championship next year. They may go. Next step might be just a 7-5 type of year or something like that. Like let's take it one step at a time and not get ahead of ourselves. But I do see bright times ahead over the course of the next 2-3 years. And this class, Rhule's second class, combined with a lot of the guys they got in the 23 class, that's sort of your nucleus of building a championship infrastructure. So this is a really important class to turn things around.
And let me just say, we are all for getting way ahead of ourselves on the Common Fan podcast.
Yeah.
So,
that's why you guys are named the Common Fan podcast, because that's how Nebraska
Exactly.
fan base is. Like
we understood you. We understood. We heard you loud and clear. Playoff bound next year, national.
Yeah,
championship.
12-0 and
We heard
playoff
you.
appearance next year. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I was gonna say, as soon as I mentioned Big Ten championship or playoff, like you guys stopped listening. You're like, okay, here we go.
Cut his mic off.
I was going to say we're gonna host a first round game in Lincoln, but we're going to get the first round bye instead. So we won't have the opportunity.
Right. You guys are thinking like, all right, where should we be sitting? Like what would be the most valuable seats to get for a playoff game? Like, and where's the Matt Rhule statue going to go?
Exactly.
North Stadium, which side would it look best?
Exactly. Well, just to build on what you just said, it does feel like, and again, I think Husker fans are sort of sick of hearing about recruiting rankings, and we out recruit a number of our peers in the Big Ten West, which is no longer. But we've often out recruited these guys, and they still beat us on the field in recent years. But it does feel like there's a combination here of Rhule. Coach Rhule has stacked two really good classes, and this one in particular jumps out because it's one of the highest historically ever in the Rivals era, highest rated historically ever. So he stacked two really good classes. And I think when you combine that with the sense of stability that he brings and the fact that he's a guy that's done it before, he's got a track record to look at, kind of when you throw it all into the blender together, and also guys seem bought in, they seem bought into the culture. They want to be a part. They feel like they're building something, et cetera. Again, I agree with you. We got to understand that, even if Raiola does end up winning the Heisman Trophy, it's not going to be in 2024, most likely. Like there will be some bumps on the road. We can't assume all the problems will be fixed in 2024, but like it does feel like, I think the word we keep coming back to is foundation. The pieces are there, like a foundation of really building something. And like you said, they addressed just about every need in this class. Yeah,
and they supplemented it ideally. Like they're in the transfer portal. Like, I mean, the first wave of the recruiting class, the 23 class and the 23 transfer portal haul, like just so many players. And then you think coming back around this time, that's going to be a smaller class. And then we have to readjust expectations because like, oh, okay, they've clearly set their made their strategy, their philosophy known now that like we don't care about not surpassing a certain number of players to bring in. And maybe that's just for the first two classes, because like you said, TJ, foundation is the name of the game. Like that's what Rhule wanted to do when he brought in that big class and his first time around last offseason was we got to get guys who we believe in, like our guys. That was sort of the approach and mentality. We got to have an influx of talent and the right fits here. And we're seeing that second time in a row, and that's in the recruiting class of bringing in high school talent, which is always going to be the basis. He talks about Georgia. He's mentioned Georgia like 3 or 4 times, like about how we want to build a model. We want to model our program after that. If you want to win championships, why would you not take from the model of a team that has won championships? So their high school recruiting is always going to be the base. And then we saw the first time around where transfer portal was used as almost like an Ole Miss, like Lane Kiffin uses it. But then this time around, it was to fill needs, like fill gaps. And there were 6 or 7 spots that I think a lot of others thought, okay, these are needs to address in the portal. And I think they filled 5 of those. I mean, you get a running back who can come in and compete right away. At least one receiver, and they got 2 of them. An offensive lineman who could start right away. And then a linebacker, because after you graduate 2 veterans in Nick Henrich and Luke Reimer, get an extra linebacker who is starting experience. Like he's a surefire day one type of starter. And then you get, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 of them. And then you get a corner, you get a stash, you get a grab and stash cornerback who you develop out of the FCS ranks. So you get a little bit of depth behind that to develop. And the only thing that they didn't grab that would have probably been either a luxury or a need would be a quality backup quarterback, like out of the portal. But that was probably going to be the hardest one to get because of the nature of quarterbacking. Like it's going to be hard. You're going to be hard pressed to find a quarterback out of the portal who's leaving one situation to come in and say, yep, I'm cool with being the backup. Just right. I'll be smoking a cigarette over here if you guys need me. I'll come in. All right,
Len Dawson
Brucey's
style.
time to shine now, baby. Yeah, Len Dawson style. Like you're not going to get that a lot of places. So that was honestly the most difficult one. And I think in the end they may not have even been looking for that. But after spring ball, we heard Rhule talk about it. That remains an option on the table if they go through spring ball and they feel, hey, we need another guy. So they'll address that if it's needed and add that quality backup. But other than that, I think they had a really good offseason. And you guys, that's like what, 7 or I think they've won 7 of the last 8 offseason national championships now. Like they are the Bama of the offseason. I know we joke about that. But yeah, we joke about that, and I think it's funny. But this offseason does feel, I don't know about it. I know that people are probably going to roll their eyes like, oh, this offseason feels different. Every offseason feels different. But this offseason feels different. There's a on paper and gut feeling element to both. So
100%. Well, Zach, for me, and I'm sure many other Husker fans, I always kind of like to see how we do in recruiting compared to, kind of our traditional Big Ten rivals. Traditional seems kind of weird to say because we haven't been in the Big Ten that long, but, with Wisconsin and our buddies off to the east, Iowa, our Midwestern Big Ten brethren, if you will. And brethren might even be a little bit too chummy of a word, but in your post signing day write-up, you mentioned that the Huskers have out recruited Iowa the last couple of cycles. We love to hear that. But, unfortunately, it hasn't translated into beating Iowa. They always seem to make those just hang around and make those disgusting late game punt block return touchdowns or whatever it might be. And they're developing their guys, which I think we'll get better at. But they've just kind of got that consistency in their program. what the heck do we need to do to have that translate and beat them on the field on Black Friday?
Well, one thing is shore up the turnovers. I mean, just talking about it from the last couple of years. I mean, they're 1-1 against Iowa in my time on the beat, and I think that first time around they had one turnover, and that was late in the game, and it almost cost them. Like the Ramir Johnson fumble late in the game.
That's right.
That was the moment where it's just like, no way is this going to happen again. Like we already got our stories written from our perspective. Like I already have like 90% of my my post game write up written, and like we should come to expect this type of thing. Like, but then last year, you definitely hold off on that because it just felt like in every game, not just against Iowa, that back-breaking turnover was right around the corner, and it was like that's the interception to from Chubba Purdy to set up the game-winning field goal for Iowa. Like that's one part of it. That's from an on-field perspective, but also it's, I guess if there's a mentality aspect to it, it's getting that Iowa bug out of your head. Like never settle for Iowa. I made an Iowa. I didn't know this my very first, or maybe it was my second week in June 22 when I got here. I made a joke like, because I drove from Ohio all the way to Nebraska. It was like a 12-hour drive with a stop in between, and then 12 hours back. And I did on our message board, I did a corn rankings because I drove through half of Ohio, which most of Ohio outside of the big three cities is a lot of cornfields, Indiana, Illinois, which I grew up in central Illinois, Iowa, rode through a little bit of Kansas for whatever reason. I think the route just took me on that. And then Nebraska, and I power ranked the cornfields, and I was just making it up. I just put Nebraska number 1, Illinois. I think I put Nebraska 1, Iowa 2, Illinois 3, or whatever. I like had Iowa's maybe 1 or 2, and complete joke. And then there were like 3 or 4 people like, this is a bogus take. Like Iowa's corn sucks, all this. I'm like,
who's the new guy?
Yeah. I'm like, all right, well, we'll jot that one down. We'll cross that one off.
Next time, research.
Next time I come up with a fake list of corn rankings, I'll put Iowa lower. Just
anytime there's any comment from anyone remotely connected to Nebraska directed towards Iowa, it's always inflammatory. It doesn't matter what it can be. If you're joking, if you're talking about something as silly and trivial as corn rankings, Iowa fans are going to take it way too seriously.
And Nebraska fans are going to take it way too seriously too.
Yeah, we do. We're bad too. We're bad too.
It's very on edge. But yeah, I mean, it could be I think it could be a mentality thing. Like, I mean, you look at the Nebraska-Wisconsin quote unquote rivalry. It's the same type of situation where you just can't shake that. Yeah. And you're getting guys in here. I mean, Matt Rhule, total new coaching staff, all these players in the last 2 classes and the transfer portal cycles who don't know what that's like. And it's like, we haven't lost to Iowa. We're coming in here. We haven't lost to Wisconsin, like in this freshman class. So you're getting guys in here who aren't experienced in failure, I guess I would say. Like, I think that part of it's an important piece of it too.
Absolutely.
So, thinking of the kind of cornerstone of this class, Dylan Raiola, he really seems to be embracing the role of a leader already. You see him at, women's basketball games, wrestling matches, other Husker events. Are you, now that he's on campus and taking classes, are you hearing anything about him? Or like, are you sort of in, he seems to be, I know we're mindful of not putting too much on the kid, even though we call him the savior and Luke Skywalker and all sorts of things like that. But
I haven't heard the Luke Skywalker one. That's good.
Well, that's what we call it.
That's just us.
When you catch up on the Common Fan episodes on vacation, you'll hear it. So, but just kind of curious, what are you hearing about him, or are you hearing anything about him? And I know it's just kind of winter workout time. Yeah. It's a little bit more of a quiet time.
What's his favorite color, and what kind of car does he drive?
What's his favorite ice cream?
Scarlet, of course. Yeah, exactly. Crimson and cream. Is that the why am I drawing
Scarlet
blank?
and cream.
Scarlet and cream, right? I said
Yeah.
that and that
You
didn't
said
feel
scarlet.
right.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Scarlet is obviously his favorite color, but no, I mean nothing out of the ordinary or nothing extraordinary or anything. It's a bunch of the stuff I think you would expect. Just I mean, there's not a lot of if there's positive things talk about Dylan, like not much of it's going to surprise me. I mean, he's a leader from the front. He knows how important it is to be to start growing as the face of this program. He knows how much his commitment and his signing with this program meant to the fans, meant to the program. But he's really, really good, and this is the thing you're not going to see on tape, and it's his superpower is. I call his superpower his brain, and that's reading defenses. Like he has a photographic memory or close to it, where he can look at the play design and go through the process and have it down pat. Know the offensive line protection down. I know just a quick aside. I know that the center in Donovan Raiola's system. I mean, this system is he's the one who sets the protections, changes protections. But if you have a quarterback who can do that, obviously it's going to be a big weapon to have. But he's great at all that, at defensive recognition or play or scheme recognition, and knowing fronts of the defense, knowing the offense. That's one part of it. His brain processes quickly, like his processing of information. But on the other side of it, he's very good at staying even keeled and staying balanced, not getting too up or too down. And you hear that about so many quarterbacks, and a lot of it's not true. But this guy, it is. I'm telling you that he is. And that's, I think I said this last year when, after a couple games of Jeff Sims' experience, where that's the hardest part to evaluate in a quarterback is that type of approach. Like, are you built for the moment? Can you handle this? And we've seen multiple guys in college. We just saw it last year that Jeff Sims could not. And I think it's so important to have a guy like that for this program, especially because of the nature of it being a fishbowl, it being so much hyper attention on you, that you need a guy who, if you throw 3 touchdown passes and 300 yards in a game, like, cool, like we're gonna celebrate tonight, like happy for our team, like all this and that. It's right back to work the next day. And if you lose, if you throw 3 picks and finish with 95 yards and like you get blown out, all right, that sucks. Let's get back to work, ready for film. Like that's the step it's in now too. Let's get to work, and that's what he's been doing. I mean, that's what I would expect from him. That's what he's been doing. He's going to approach it with he's going to approach it with that balanced mentality, and that's the persona he has on the field. Like, you never see him rattled. That doesn't mean he's not going to make mistakes. He's going to have games where he throws interceptions or fumbles in his freshman year. Might have games with multiple picks, but that's not going to change who he is, like how he approaches things. And that's like the hidden specialty of this guy is that sort of approach. And that's honestly might be where he's like Patrick Mahomes the most. Like, obviously it's not that level, but when they were both at the same stage in their career, I think that's what you saw. And then you obviously advance and develop or grow from there. But I know I'm rambling, but I can't say enough good things about the guy. Like, and I think that is one that is not talked about enough, and that we're going to see a lot more.
Well, so that's
you're always welcome to ramble about Dylan Raiola on this program.
Yeah.
This is a safe place.
12-0 in 2024.
Especially when you compare him to Patrick Mahomes, because that's pretty heartening seeing what we saw last weekend and where he's at in his career. So
yeah, we could talk about the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl for the next hour. Like, if you guys need me to stay on longer,
I'm okay there. I'm good there.
It's been a good run. After 20, I've been a diehard Chiefs fan since I was 9 years old, and it was 20 plus years of just playoff embarrassment, heartbreak, like more embarrassment. And now it's been a good run since we got that.
Had a good run there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spending some of that time talking about Dylan, and these guys will tell you, as you've probably known from listening to multiple episodes, I'm considered the ultimate common fan. So when you present rankings to me and things like that. I'm like, I don't know what the hell this means. Just I'm an X's and O's guy. Just tell me if the kid's good or if he's bad. So if you throw 5 stars next to him, I'm just gonna trust you and say 5-star good, he good player. 5-star bad, he bad player. So we understand recruits, but when you were talking about the cigarette smoking backup quarterback, is there a ranking for like transfer portal players? Is there a way to rank those people? How do I know for a common fan if this transfer that comes in is good or not? Like, where can I even go to find information like that?
Well, what a setup, Jeff. We got the Rivals transfer portal rankings at rivals.com.
Oh, what do you know?
Tab. You can go to the transfer portal tab and transfer rankings, transfer team rankings. It's all set up like a pretty little course line there for you.
Lovely.
For all these rankings. And that's the transition that all media outlets like the Big Three in 247 and us that we do, because the transfer portal has become so prominent. Like, you got to have a team of transfer portal coverage people. You got to have your rankings out, and it might be harder to do that than high school recruiting sometimes. Yeah. Like, just because it's so chaotic. But I don't think Nebraska finished in the top 25 of the transfer portal rankings this year. They did last year, but that's more of a I think that's a product of not taking as many guys. I mean, they got 6 in the transfer portal. I think is the final number. 6 guys. They're 71st in the transfer portal rankings this year because that's not a very big class. Louisville's number 1 in the rankings because they got 26. So last year, I think they were in the top 25.
Will this evolve to where eventually you take a holistic look at the class and you factor in individual high school player ratings and individual transfer player ratings, and it's all one class? Because right now, like, our transfer class gets graded separately than our high school class. But if you put it all together, like you're saying, we have a smaller number of transfers this year. A lot of Husker fans would be happy with that. And I would guess you put it all together, we're still a top 20 class. Do you think it's going to move in that direction, or is that just too hard to do with transfers who maybe they were a 4-star 3 years ago, but they haven't played at the college they're at, right? Is that just
no? So we do have that. It's the comprehensive team rankings. I'm looking at it now. It's just, I think it's more. So first off, we have comprehensive where it combines them. So there's 30 high school signees and 6 transfer portal signees in the 2024 class, and that ranks so a total of 36 new signees officially, like guys who aren't considered walk-ons or NIL type agreements, and that ranks 22nd in the country. Nebraska's 2024 class does, and they were 31st last year. But I think it's more. I want to say traditional is probably the best word to describe it, of using just the high school ranking to say this is the number 18 signing class in the country, because that's what we've done for it's what everyone's done for 2 decades or more, since 2000, 2001. So it probably will start becoming more popular to say, all right, this is the default, to look at the comprehensive, the combined ranking, rather than just the transfer portal, just the high school recruiting rankings. But yeah, like you said, I mean, top 20, top 25 class, number 22 in the country is pretty solid. And then you look at the average star rating, and Nebraska's 3.28 on our scale, which is still top 25, and 3.33 in the high school. So they're still top 25 in that, and that's rating your average star rating. So you're getting quality along with it, in addition to the depth of the class, because you get 30 guys, and a lot of other classes have like 22, 21 guys. It's like, of course, your ranking's going to be higher with 30 people than it is 21. But then you look over right to the next column, and it's like, okay, well, that's still top 25 when you're looking at just on a per player basis.
Well, Zach, that's great info. And with our kind of, I guess, time constraints we have here, and we appreciate you joining us today and giving up your time. But I think we want to kind of close out with, we've got this kind of running thing on the pod that we discuss, where, whether it's recruiting or it's a transfer portal situation or something like that, we found that there's always these funny or kind of annoying fan reactions to either when a guy decides he's not going to come here or he flips and goes to another school. So there's some of the common ones that we thought of are, well, we didn't want him anyway.
My favorite one. I'll tell you my favorite one.
Yes, please. Oh, okay. So the other ones we have are the kid's ahead case, or he's got, he's a prima donna or something like that, or we think we dodged a bullet. Or if we do get a kid, this kid's a sleeper. Like he's a 2 or a 3 star, but nobody
offered him.
He's a hidden gem. So we've got those, or even like lately, I think with the McCord thing, one of our buddies said, "Oh, his dad's an issue. His dad would have been a problem." So what are some other ones that you have?
So I got a top 3. You guys don't prepare me for the questions, which is how I want it. Like I just immediately popped off. Number 1 favorite, we cooled. Nebraska cooled.
Yeah, we decided
we cooled on him. We backed off.
And obviously that's become a running joke. Like Dylan Raiola commits to Georgia. All good. Nebraska cooled. We didn't want him. Yeah. And I think that one's hilarious. Like when he tweeted his senior highlight, his senior year highlights. I told you guys this story last time I was on, and I had a tweet all written out, and I wound up not hitting send because I'm like, maybe that's too harsh or whatever. But I just said in that tweet draft, it said Nebraska all good, Nebraska cooled. Like, yeah, we don't want a guy throwing 1,000-mile-an-hour heat down the middle off 1 foot falling to his left. Nah. Right? Yeah, who would want that? Second favorite is twisting it, whoever the guy is who commits somewhere else, and then you get the next guy in. Or I'll say it like this: whenever someone that you really want, the higher level recruit, at least rankings wise, like commits somewhere else, and then that's all right. We didn't want him. Nebraska cooled, whatever. Like, take a look at this other guy. I've always thought this guy was the more intriguing prospect. I thought his traits, like you start talking yourself into the next guy that you could more realistically get, why he's actually a better prospect than the 5-star guy that you missed out on. Those are top 2. And then the third one, which I actually hate this one. This is like a pet peeve, but the one I see the most is they drop the bag. Just some sort of money reference. Like if a kid flips from Nebraska to an SEC school, you just throw in the $ SEC, and boom, you're in the money. You're going to get a bunch of likes and retweets or favorites on that, because if you go to the money, boom. And that's at the same time not recognizing that, Nebraska pays the guys too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but now it's legal. Now we're doing it legally.
Yeah, right. Now it's all above board.
The SEC's been doing it for I don't know how many years.
Exactly. Well, this is a periodic reminder to all Common fans. Don't tweet at recruits. They're 18-year-old kids making fairly serious life decisions. And now there are financial implications for them and their families. So there's a lot more. There's always more to the story than we know. Don't tweet at kids.
No.
Don't direct anything at kids. And this is sort of related, but not the same thing, that really I find super annoying. Like when Chucky Hepburn, was Nebraska native who's at Wisconsin, was playing in Lincoln, and we're booing the kid.
Yeah.
And like somebody put a video of that on Twitter, and all the responses were like, "It's part of the business," or like, "It's the big time. What do you expect?" And it's like, no, the kid, he's playing for a top 10 program. Like he thought that was the best opportunity for him. It drives me absolutely nuts. These are young men, young people, whatever the sport you're watching, making decision about what they think is best for them. You can like not boo them and still cheer for the Huskers. It's okay. Or not direct vitriol at them on social media and still be a massive Husker fan. It's all okay.
Right.
Yeah. If you reply with the GIF of like whatever, if someone announces a Nebraska offer, you put a GIF out, a GIF or GIF, whatever. It's debate. That's a debate that's going to be until the end of time, however you pronounce it. But if you tweet just the Nebraska GIF, like, all good, go Huskers, cool. Like, show your support. Just don't be bashing them when they wind up picking a different school. That drives me crazy too. And it's sort of I've come to the realization it's almost like a psychological thing where as fans, we cannot affect the game on Saturday or Sunday. We can't do it. We're not there. Like, I mean, I pretend like I can. I wear the same, make sure I wear the same shirt for every Chiefs playoff game.
I switch chairs.
So, all right, let me go down on this rant. All right. So I make sure that the Chiefs coffee mug I have, it cannot be drank until game day. And it has to be 2 cups of coffee out of that same one. My dog, he can wear his Chiefs bandana any day in the off season, but during the season, you can't wear it until game day. And then for a playoff run, it's got to be whatever you're wearing that first playoff game. If they win, run it back for the next game. And I'm not crazy enough to think that actually matters, because it doesn't.
It does matter.
But you cannot prove to me scientifically. You cannot prove to me scientifically that it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yep.
Like you
Exactly.
can't, I know it doesn't, but you can't prove that it doesn't. So it's like maybe butterfly effect. I don't know.
Right.
I never watched the movie, but I've heard of it. But
I hear you.
It's sort of the same similar deal where you can't affect the game. You can't affect a Nebraska game while you're sitting at home watching. Like, no matter how much you yell, no matter how much you say, why are we not running a screen here? Like, but recruiting, I think there's a psychological thing of like, well, I can help. If I tweeted this recruit, say, come to Nebraska, we got this and that, this and that. Like, it's a perfect place for you that you could somehow affect change and help bring that guy to the program so that he can actually help the team win. Then it's like, well, see, like that, I helped. Like, I think there is a small part of it with that. I think there's a psychological thing. I've been thinking about that for a while now.
That's another favorite when a high schooler like maybe tweets that like they're taking a visit to Nebraska, or they show some sort of interest in Nebraska, and Johnny Husker 647 with 23 followers like responds and like, come to Lincoln, young man, and get developed personally and professionally, and it's like, oh, that's gonna move the needle. That's gonna do it, Johnny.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna commit. So, all right, Zach. Well, we know you got other things to do today. So thank you so much for your time. It's great to put a bow on the recruiting class. I think we agree with you. We're pretty excited about where things stand given this class, the last class, and what Coach Rhule is building. So I appreciate you kind of shining a light on that for us. Hope you enjoy your vacation. Any final words from Zach or the other Common fans, fellas?
It is pronounced Jiff. It is. It's Jeff.
Okay, Jeff.
Just like Jeff. Yeah, just like Jeff. See, exactly.
I know it's Jeff. It's like peanut butter. I try to remember that. Then every time when I say it, like when I say it out loud on a podcast or in a conversation, I'm like, whichever one it is. I always forget in the moment.
It's GIF. Exactly. It's GIF now for me, just because Jeff said it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's GIF. It's GIF forever now.
Yeah.
Well, the first time you guys brought me on, you started calling him G-off, and I was like, I'm 90% sure they're
you can call me
joking,
G-off,
but I don't know. I'm just gonna say, hey man, how you doing?
Pronouncing Chief.
It's actually pronounced Joff.
Exactly.
You can call him whatever you want, Zach.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a bunch, Zach. Really appreciate you coming back on. We look forward to having you again. Husker fans, hang in there. Spring ball's right around the corner. As always, GBR for life.